When I am gone, release me, let me go. I have so many things to see and do. You mustn't tie yourself to me with too many tears, but be thankful we had so many good years. I gave you my love, and you can only guess how much how much you've given me in happiness. I thank you for the love that you have shown. I thank you for the love that you have shown. But now it is time I traveled on alone. So grieve for me for a while. If grieve you must, then let your grief be comforted by trust. It is only for a while that we must part. So treasure the memories within your heart. I will not be far away, for life goes on. And if you need me, call, and I will come. Though you can't see me, though you can't touch me, I will be near. And if you listen with your heart, you will hear all my love around you, soft and clear. And then when you come this way alone, I will greet you with a smile and a welcome home. And then when you come here this way alone, I will greet you with a smile and a welcome home.
Too hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. First, thank you to connect Susan this way to put the books. The books is not about the books, but it's this mean the how long time Susan spent to read it, to study, to think about this world, to think about herself, to create ideas, to yeah, to create a possibility to be queer in this world in South Africa. I learned a lot with her intense dedication to study, to prepare class, to be teacher, to be research. She's really very intense person to do what she think is necessary to do, to to be honest with herself in this world, with her idea about what means good place to live for herself, for my life is her, but principle for the people, for the woman, for the queer people, for friends, for family. So the books now go for this family, the big family, the people would like to read her stuff. And the book now is represent her intimacy about her ideas. And Susan, she's lovely friends, she's love family, and the queer people like you, Kikili, like you, Melanie, you represent now. This big community, this was a have connection. So it's a big family, feminist and queer family. Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, I think, sure, Susan Holland-Muter was such a big life in so many ways. As Solange has said, big thoughts, big politics, big heart. And for me, that's sort of an embodiment of pride in a way. She always claimed that from such a young age. She fought for the right to be big in the way that she thought, in the expansiveness of her political and academic projects, in the way in which the relationality aspect, the way in which she related to others, to wide circles of queer and feminist activists across the world, represented that largesse of her own thinking, the generosity of her academic work, the generosity of her political activism. And in some ways, for me, just working with her collection and seeing it, seeing this queer, feminist, intersectional collection of books and ideas and readings that shaped her own thinking, that shaped her own work, was just so powerful and remarkable. I think remarkable in its breadth, in how she was drawing on long traditions of feminist thinkings, black feminist thinking, post-colonial feminist thinking, Western feminist thinking, and drawing that right through into an analysis of race, an analysis of class, an analysis of the South African context, and then a huge, expansive look at queerness, its violences and its pleasures. And I think for Susan that was so central. The pleasure of queer sexuality as a political agenda, as an academic agenda. And I think the collection, I was amazed to see, was so wide and so deep, and I think speaks to the journey of her own life in this arena. It's really been an incredible privilege to see it, to touch it, to feel it, and to know, as Solange, as you're saying, that it's also a generation, a particular generation of queer feminist thinking that in some ways Susan represents, that can be in the world in a way that Susan was, generously, for students from all over the world to draw on, for academics to draw on, for researchers to draw on, and for that critical thinking that defies academic and disciplinary boundaries to continue through this collection, I think is a remarkable legacy. And what better place than the Gender Equity Unit to house that, a place that in many ways was a political home for her, many years at UWC, with you, Fikile, our history together back in the trenches when we were professional lesbians, and yeah, I think it's an important closure, and also an important continuation of a big, beautiful life that was Susan Holland-Muter's.
And another thing, Susan, she's very funny and enjoyed person. She enjoyed very, very well her life. And she's lived very little in her life. And she spent a lot of time with reading, studying. She not finished nothing. And no paper, no nothing. It's not really understood everything. So she read a lot. But she did this with very enjoyable process for herself. She's a lovely party, I love to drink wine, and she's a very funny person. So to use this book to be very the moment to be very funny. So enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Susan was our big, beautiful friend. Susan was a person who was larger than life. And I remember that when I was a young lesbian, Susan was that older mentor. I think, to me, specifically as a young lesbian, she had this big heart, and she would always bring us in. And what I particularly loved and enjoyed about Susan was her deep political thinking around gender, around sexuality, around queerness, around race, class, sexism, etc., in a South African context, and particularly in Cape Town. And we used to have wonderful conversations about this. Susan, we will really miss her. Her heart was so big, and I will never forget that. How huge her heart was, just for people. I remember we used to go to all of the queer prides in Cape Town, which is really great. And just working together and thinking together. I think that those were some of the best moments that I, really enjoyed with Susan.
Yeah, I think packing up her collection was really beautiful because a lot of the people saw her from a professional point of view, and being family, I saw her on a more personal level, and to see that she really lived her politics in her personal life, and her intersectionality was not only in her personal life but in her collection as well. She was a person that really loved life, but she also had flaws and faults, and she worked really hard to be the best person she can. And I learned a lot about how to go through life not with fear but with adventure, and to live it, to really live it. She took every opportunity as a way to to live, and she loved with her whole heart, and she loved adventure, she loved life, she loved people. And to know that in many ways she'll live in the people that knew her in our memories forever, but now she'll also live in a collection that people will be able to access and use, which honestly I think she would be so happy and proud to be able to be part of the world in this way as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, I'm Veronique Fox from the Gender Equity Unit. I am a student assistant here. And we were busy with the collection of Dr. Susan. And what I found interesting is going through the books is that each book, there's like a little note that she has left behind. So, there's something for the next person who comes across these books. There's something for them to find, but it also shows how personal each book was to her. So there's a lot that we can take from what she has left for us behind, and may her legacy live on through the information she left behind for us.
Hi everyone, I hope everyone's well. My name is Abulele. I'm a program administrator at the Gender Equity Unit. And my sense of working with the special collection donated to the unit is it's a huge variety of books. There's a lot of categories, and with that, even I myself saw a lot of work that I resonated with. As I was unpacking and packing, I'm always like, oh my word, I need to read this. Like, it's meaning a lot even for myself. So even though I didn't know Dr. Susan personally, getting to know her through her work has been really a magnificent thing, and I'm actually very excited for also the students and staff in the unit to be able to have that same connection to the collection. I think it's really going to do a lot for any and every of us. There's also books that I've seen that could help me with my research, and I'm very excited for everyone to actually experience the collection, have a sense of feeling with it, especially having worked with it for over the past few weeks. I think it's really made, it's done a lot for me. I'm very excited for tomorrow's launch, and I can't wait for everyone to experience it for themselves. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Zadok, and this is Isaac, and this is Umpile. We are interns from the Department of Development Studies, and we've been here for a month and more. And we participated in organizing the books you're seeing behind us, and it has been a really good journey. We've been exposed to a lot of new information while we were doing this arrangement and classifying these books. We came across a lot of sensitive information. We came across a lot of information that could empower, and a lot of information that, if not exposed, a lot of people will go walking out ignorantly. And we are really thankful to the Gender Equity Unit for giving us this opportunity to have access to this kind of information. And we really hope to be able to do more, share more, and be able to empower more. Thank you very much.
I think today we are very thankful for our resource library that has been revived. In the past, we had a library. However, I can say the books that we received from our late sister Susan, will bring light to a lot of issues, relevant issues of the day, But also, sometimes we don't find these kind of resources in libraries, and I think yes, our students will benefit having direct access to some of the books that is, I would say, relevant to the time and the issues that we addressed.
Susan, when I heard about Susan's passing, it was the most devastating thing ever, to hear. And Susan and I met at the Out LGBTI Wellbeing in 2006. We were all working for Out. And then I've known Susan since then. Must have been 2005, 2006. And since then we really crossed different spaces and queer spaces. Melanie says when we're still professional lesbians, working in different places, and to the Coalition of African Lesbians. Susan was quite instrumental in that space as well when I was the director of the Coalition of African Lesbians. Susan was human. There was just something about her also that was super spiritual. There's a particular way in which Susan would look at you, and you just know. So she was happy. She was really a happy soul, a beautiful dancer, by the way, and someone that really didn't just theorize pleasure, but really believed in it. And to some extent, I want to believe that she lived that life of pleasure. So that Susan, for you, beautiful smile, lovely stare, like she would stare at you. That stare that like communicates something beyond this world, something big, something huge, something fundamental, something deep. And so Susan had that level of depth that I think touched all of us, in those special ways. So both of you, Solange and Susan, I think your lives and your loving, your sharing your space with us, and your sharing your humanity with us, beyond borders, really teaching us that love does exist beyond borders, has been something very, very special. And I want to also just speak to the collection. It's touched my heart in a fundamentally deeper way. The coming back of Susan in this way, to South Africa, into the Gender Equity Unit. It's something that I don't think anybody can understand how amazing and how fundamentally shifting, this work is here at the department. How meaningful the life of Susan is going to be in this department, to the university and to students. For the kind of message that we are about here to shift pedagogies of violence, to shift practices of violence in higher education in ways that embrace activist scholarship, in ways that open up spaces for queer lives in institutions like ourselves, but also with partners that we work with. I have no words.
I really have got no words. With partners that we work with, I have no words. I really have got no words to you, Solange, and to Melanie, and to Linda, to Lucinda, to everybody really that has given a hand, to Christy, to my colleagues here at the department. I can't stop the tears. I really can't stop the tears from falling, and I know that all of us can't. We are doing our best to, but I think it's also a beautiful thing that Susan had a beautiful way of connecting all of us in these ways. And I think through this collection, Solange, that you have beautifully donated to the Gender Equity Unit and to the University of the Western Cape. We continue that connection. We deepen that connection and opening up the space for queer thought, for feminist thought, for thinking, and to be that point of reference and affirm, and assert the fact that activism does exist in academia. We are the bodies that carry that. And Susan has struggled in this institution. She has been a body that resisted in her own way. And that resistance is showing in her collection. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for choosing us. Thank you so much for pointing this way. Susan is going to be here forever. Susan belongs here. Susan has arrived in this way. And we welcome Susan here at the Gender Equity Unit. I'm sure this is not going to be the end of it, that we talk about Susan. I think Susan is engraved in our hearts. Susan is engraved in this collection. And Susan will welcome you. May your spirit find resonance in this place. May the meaning of you and who you are transform us into a place where we should be. Thank you so much, Solange, for sharing Susan with us. Thank you so much for donating this beautiful memory of Susan here at UWC, here at the Gender Equity Unit in particular. We are super grateful, really, really super grateful. We have loved both of you and Susan. We continue to love you, and you are welcome here anytime. Thank you so much, colleagues. I just can't stop the tears. Thank you, Sui.